All right, everyone, we are now in the sixth and last module in our Weight Loss SmackDown, and this module is on spiritual nutrition. And we have taken each week of this course and talked about and learned tools that have dealt with the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, the energetic body, and now this week, the spiritual body as it relates to the foods that we eat. Although you can in no way eat your way to God, the concept of spiritual nutrition can be a powerful aid in the process of your own spiritual growth and expansion. When we're in a state that's well hydrated, taking in foods that are really high mineral, foods that are organic, and this is important, being free of strong suppressing chemicals, adopting a uniquely individual for your specific body needs type of eating style, and eating a moderate intake diet, which really is the opposite of our totally overfed state in society at the moment, along with foods prepared really with an eye to holiness and within an energy of love, you have an absolutely powerful aid and tool in the process of your own spiritual growth and ability to serve God to the fullest capacity in the body that you're occupying at the present moment. As we have studied in the weeks prior during this course, living foods contain the highest vibration and therefore are not only the most powerful in regards to spiritual sustainment and development, but are also vital in upgrading the outward genetic expression that our bodies are putting forth right now. Living foods actually communicate with our genes and can not only turn on like an anti-aging state of being, but also completely assists our bodies into its highest quality of health and vitality. Just like when we fast, we do so to enhance our communion with the divine. We can also eat and approach nutrition from a perspective of putting down these fleshly chains and weights that slow us down, drain our energy, and ultimately distract us from walking out our divine calling and soul purpose. In order to move from food being something that we do first entirely unconsciously, never really being aware of what we're eating or why, or eating to only fuel our bodies, or eating to numb out, to offer ourselves some type of emotional comfort, or eating a strict temporary diet that someone else designed from a place and energy of taking action towards changing our outer appearance so that we can feel better inside, or maybe even eating in a certain manner that may or may not be unconscious in order to reach a certain goal. So instead of these, we can move to a place where our eating takes on the mindset and then is followed by action that we're eating to enhance our communion with God. So in this, yes, you eat to fuel your body, and yes, you eat to comfort yourself at times, and yes, you eat a diet that helps you reach your goals and callings, but you do it from a different heart perspective. That then flows into a different head perspective. There is in this no room for shame, for guilt, nor rough condemnation in this type of process. Those emotions that you direct back towards yourself that are lower vibrational like that only serve as an inner attack to tear you down and ultimately take you further away from any spiritual connection and further away from God. As you begin to apply a mindset towards your foods, that everything that you're eating, what is passing through your lips, is doing so to bring you closer to God, to enhance your life that you're living in the flesh, to quicken your ability to hear from God and to take action. As you cultivate a conscious mindset like that towards your food, you'll also find that you automatically begin cultivating that mindset towards what you're wearing, towards who you speak to and what you speak, towards where you go and what you do. Before you know it, you're constantly practicing the presence of God. your life does become a living sacrifice because you are becoming more and more aware of the actions that you're taking being directly related to your presenting yourself in a divine service. You are a creator. God has given you a divine birthright of creating. You have the ability to create a new life experience for yourself. You do not have to be held captive by the addictions and habits of these fleshly bodies. But saying, just saying with our words, oh, you don't have to be free. You can be free from this bondage, and actually being free from the bondage are two totally different things. And this is evidenced by the sheer amount of weight loss programs, books, and protocols, as well as our overall physical state and health as a society. It's one thing to know, oh, we can create change, and I don't have to be the weight I am. I don't have to be this sickly. It's one thing to know that, and it's another thing to actually do it and to attain it. It's much simpler just to say it's possible in the middle. You have to create a new experience. You are a creator, and that's what we're doing here. I am not and have never been interested in giving you a program that just adheres to a set period of time, to a set diet, and then you hopefully achieve change, but eventually will fall back into whatever patterns you held before because the core issues were never addressed. That is why we're digging into the causes and then giving you transformative tools to create this change. But you have to create it. And it is your divine birthright to be able to do so. You're created in the image of the Creator. It's in your blood, so to speak, to be able to create life, to create change, create power, and to create experience. You're in this program or are focused on, weight loss or body relationships because you're ultimately looking to feel a certain way. And it may seem to you like you chase weight loss in order to look a certain way or to meet a certain goal. But if you really drill down to it, you're actually wanting an emotion. You're wanting to feel better emotionally. When you change your entire relationship with food to one that is not physically based, in that you're not eating to look a certain way, and it's not emotionally based in that you're not using food to feel a certain way, and it's not mentally based in that you're not eating because of mental patterns or because somebody told you to eat or not to eat, and instead your whole food focus around food becomes one of connection, service, divine service, clarity, beauty, leadership, hearing divine guidance, being healthy so that you're available for whatever God calls you to, even if that's just to crawl around on the floor with your kids or your grandkids, or to create art, or to intercede in a focused manner. It becomes about relationship. It becomes about having consciousness of your actions and intentionally putting your spiritual state first. In tying food and the spiritual state together, you firstly transcend this whole diet merry-go-round that society is on by using muscle testing, by clearing our triggers and addictions with tapping, and by practicing forgiveness and mindset health around our body and food with the energetic reconciliation techniques. All of these tools that you've learned, you then enter into a whole different playing field than the rest of the world is on when it comes to food. It becomes real clear then when you're eating for the flesh or when you're holding food before you in order to connect you closer to God. When you tie food and your desire for divine connection together, you raise the vibration exponentially more than you would if you're just unconsciously consuming foods, even healthy food. And that is a very cool thing because listen to me now, the spiritual vibrations are very high. They're the highest. And when you are preparing food and consuming food while holding a thought pattern of being excited about or being connected to God, it actually will raise the overall vibration of your body and the food that you are consuming. As you practice this, almost without you knowing, you will begin consuming food under a raised vibrational state automatically. In this type of environment, your food will assimilate better, you will digest it better, and your body will be able to heal better, resulting in you not holding on to cellular waste, which is weight, from the foods that you're consuming. And it is an amazing blessing and a true miracle that this can be had. It is not the same when we talk about spiritual nutrition and talk about being connected, using our food to be connected to the divine. It's not the same as the prayers that we say habitually before food, because those can turn into habit and may not connect emotionally with God as a practice. Also, the expression is a bit different in traditional prayer, and while higher as one of thankfulness and gratitude, what I'm suggesting with spiritual nutrition is a bit different. In this, you're just adopting the emotion before you eat, sending it out to God, basically saying that I am eating, using food to deepen my connection with you. That is it. I am eating, using this food to deepen my connection with you. And it is a little bit of a different vibration than our traditional, prayers or blessings that we say before a meal, asking God to bless our meal, or asking God, to continue to provide for us, or being in a state of thankfulness and gratitude. This is saying, I am using this meal, I am eating, I am using this food to deepen my connection with you. That may result, when you do that, in changing what you eat. You may not, in good conscience, be able to continue to eat that Snickers bar, or you may very well be able to do that. It may not be an area where God is working on you. It may result in God using that habit just for you to reach out to Him and connect and saying, I'm using this, I'm opening to this flow of being able to use this food and this meal to connect to the divine. And it may result in God using that habit as a catalyst to help you be reminded to connect with Him throughout the day, from the time you're sharpening your pencil, from the time you're getting dressed, and so forth and so on. It usually also results in you being able to hear answers and direction more clearly as this practice is adopted as a habit. Or it may simply serve as you being able to learn to connect the actions of the flesh with a deepening spiritual connection, actually giving action instead of just lip service to what we're doing. When you tie food and your desire for divine connection together, you have a catalyst into a spontaneous state of prayer and of hearing from God every single time you eat. This also leads you into a state of being able to more easily and more often practice the presence of God throughout your day and throughout your life. So many times in our spiritual practice, we feel a need for answers, a need for clarity, a need to know or to be able to feel divine presence within us. And as a matter of fact, the lack of these oftentimes drives our poor eating habits by causing emotional suffering. When we begin eating as a way to raise our vibrations, help our bodies be healthy and our minds be completely clear in order that we can hear from God, serve God, and experience divine presence, our eating does become centered on spiritual nutrition and growth rather than the fleshly reasons of just outright hunger, outward appearance where we're concerned about our weight, or addictions and habits, or emotional comfort. Here's where it gets tricky. Be very careful not to project your own opinion of what divine food is. Meaning, don't go to extremes as a way to perpetuate your own self-destructive, self-sabotage story and patterns with saying that in order to increase your connection with God, you have to sit around only eating air because that's what God would want. We do that. We place such high rules and expectations that we can never succeed, not long term anyway. No, that is not where you are. And God wants that connection, that service, that relationship right where you are now. You are the one that is not accepting and that is harshly judging what you're eating and what you look like, not God. You're assuming through your own filters, through your own flesh, and through your own experience what God thinks about and what God feels about your weight and eating habits. And I would seriously suspect that if most of you or most of us listen real hard, the voice that you attribute to as being God or being conviction, especially when it comes to being condemning, shaming, embarrassing, and critical about your weight, probably sounds a whole lot more like your own voice than it does God's voice. Do not project your own, your mother's, or society's opinions about your body and your appearance and weight onto God. When I speak of spiritual nutrition and eating from a perspective of deepening your connection with the divine, I am pretty much pointing to the opposite of what you see and experience in society and most of the time within yourself. This is a much lighter, more empowering and uplifting, and definitely a much more beautiful than a clamped down version of that type of lower vibrational energy. Remember, this is just adopting a mindset that every time you eat, you're eating to deepen your communion with God. That is it. Nothing more, nothing less. Just deepen the communion. However that comes about. And like I said earlier, it may change what you're putting in your mouth at that moment or what you prepare for yourself to eat, and it may not. It may be about something else. And you suffer, the world around you suffers, your family suffers, everyone suffers when you put God in a box and you assume what spiritual nutrition would mean to Him without actually hearing from Him. It begins to serve as a reminder throughout the day when you begin to incorporate the mindset of spiritual nutrition to remember God, to reach out, placing your desire for deep spiritual connection before God, which incidentally relieves the suffering when we don't pepper that connection with our own projections of what God is and is not judging us for. Getting into the habit of attaching our eating food with reaching out and expressing our desire before God for a deeper connection and deeper service, and that we are willing to hold our food before that filter makes us much more aware of the frequencies of the foods we're taking in, just like we covered in Module 4 of this course. This week, we're going to be using what people call sometimes mantras or affirmations along with tapping in order to help us work on the spiritual side of nutrition. I'll be giving you some prompts and scripts that are all positive and forward moving with the intention of completely reframing our whole mindset around consuming foods and why we do that. With that said, I know that this course has been really, really intense in many ways. And those ways are different for every single one and every single person that would come into contact with this course. Keep doing the work. Keep digging. Go back and watch the module videos, reread and redo the exercises, because I'm telling you, every single time you do, you will have something new come up because you are in a different place in your journey than you were when you were first introduced to these workshops. You continue to move forward and to grow and expand. Journal the thoughts that you think and come back and use the tapping or the energetic reconciliation method until they have cleared. Pay attention every single day to the things that upset you. Pay attention to what triggers you. Write it down if you have to, and if you can't address it right then, address it later through these methods that I've shared with you. Develop the habit of clearing and releasing patterns that keep us stuck and triggered. Push past the resistance of the flesh to heal your body, to heal your emotions, to heal your mind, and do the work. I can tell you personally that sometimes when I am doing some of the deepest self-healing work, some of the work that has made the most difference in my own personal journey, that I have moments of extreme resistance in just not wanting to do it Or I'll look for any distraction. And most of this is unconscious until I realize, wait a minute, why am I not wanting to sit down and tap? Why am I not wanting to sit down and journal? Why am I just wanting to keep this surface? Because the truth is the change comes through the deeper work. And that's just the flesh or the ego, and you need to win that battle. This is a hero's journey. Self-growth and self-healing is not for the faint of heart. You have to be relentless, be fierce, and be on point, watching for pitfalls and attacks all the time. But I know that you can do it. I know that you're able to transcend the past, what you've experienced prior to today, and to create a new future experience for yourself. You are a powerful creator. It is your birthright, and you do not have to keep going the way you have been. And that is so exciting. I'm so proud of you and excited as you journey forward from this point. Now, this week, as I said, I will be giving you the mantras or affirmations in order to reframe your mindset around the spiritual and your food. And each one should only take a few minutes to complete, unless you pay attention to your thoughts and emotions around these and dig deeper, which I encourage you to do. See you in the next lesson.